Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Mod Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Akimbo sidearms released back in 11.1, the Aklex. Now the Aklex are the twin versions of the single legs that is purchasable straight off the market for credits, requiring only two of the single legs and a single origin cell to build. Now the question is whether this upgrade from the single legs is worth the effort. Now the Aklex boasts some pretty impressive stats with 69 damage per shot, with the majority of it coming as puncture damage, a good critical chance of 20% with a crit damage multiplier of 200%, and a pretty reasonable status chance of 15%. That combined with the additional fire rate and magazine size over these single legs should make for a pretty good secondary. However, the Aklex does suffer some fairly major drawbacks. Firstly is the reload speed, which at 3 seconds is a long way from being quick, and the recoil and the accuracy of this weapon is also pretty low. So accurate fire over distance really is not this weapon's strong suit. However, the main problem that I feel with this weapon is that what you should mod it for. With that base status chance of 15%, a status build for this weapon is perfectly viable, and would be a fairly strong build. However, the 20% crit chance is what I feel makes the most solid build for this weapon, and therein lies the main problem. The weapons lack polarities. Even though you are combining two weapons that come with V polarities, the two single legs, the Aklex comes with no polarities at all. And as I've spoken about in other videos about crit weapons, most notably the Grakata, when a weapon without polarities requires a crit build, you are severely restricted in terms of what you can actually put extra on the weapon, since the crit chance and the crit damage mods are required alongside the damage and the multi-shot mods. Okay, so let's start to mod the Aklex, and bearing in mind what we've just been speaking about with the crit build and the required mods, plus the lack of polarity, there isn't a huge amount we can actually do with the Aklex in terms of modding. So to start with, we're going to go with Hornet Strike, we're then going to go with Barrel Diffusion for multi-shot, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot, and honestly that fire rate from Lethal Torrent really is needed since the Aklex is by no means quick. Then we've got Target Cracker for crit damage, Pistol Gambit for crit chance, they're the two required crit mods, and then a rank 6 quick draw, which drops your 3-second reload down to 2.1, which is hugely manageable. Now not everybody feels that the 3-second reload is too long, and so some people might prefer to change that quick draw out for a gunslinger, just for that extra little bit of fire rate. Personally, I would go with Quick Draw, because I feel if you go with the extra fire rate on Gunslinger, plus the 3-second reload, you end up reloading far more often than without it, and the Quick Draw I think actually just offers that much better increase in your overall damage output of the weapon, compared to putting that Gunslinger on there. Okay, and now on to my recommendation as to whether I feel this weapon is worth investing a catalyst into. And honestly, I can say that it is a good sidearm, providing you're willing to put the work into it. Now the Aklex, when completely stocked, is reasonable, with the weapon easily putting out enough damage to deal with any enemy on the star chart, and does pretty reasonably well up until about Tower 3 Void missions, where the weapon really does start to drop off and starts to struggle. With the fact that the majority of the damage comes from this weapon is puncture, it means that it's more suited for taking on the Grineer, and I would recommend only really taking this weapon against them and not the other factions, since the puncture really does have a much reduced effect on both the corpus and the infested enemy types. Now in terms of progression with this weapon, do I feel that the weapon is deserving of having Former put onto it? And honestly, I feel that the Aklex seriously does deserve some Former. Now with the additional mod space, you could put on an elemental combo like Radiation to further boost your ability to kill heavy Grineer, like your Bombards and your Napalms. Plus you can have some of the spare space to put on a max Gunslinger for fire rate and a max quick draw for max reload. Now Former can only make this weapon better than it already is, and if you use some of the dual stat elemental mods to help boost the status chance of this weapon, it helps to boost the utility of this weapon also by a huge amount. So in essence, the Aklex are a solid anti-Grineer sidearm that, once combined with a few Former, transforms into a pretty formidable anti-Grineer sidearm. As always guys, thanks very much for watching, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode.